Hello everyone, my name is Liz. How are you today? Today I'll be sharing with you how I nailed my interview during my Teacher 3 NCOI portfolio defense. So let's say it was a defense because it feels like it was. I didn't get the highest scores for demonstration, but I was able to ace my interview. Well, I had a portfolio for non-classroom observable indicators. So there are five targets for that. That's for the teachers. And kumbaga, yung isang means of verification or MOV lang inihingi for that indicator and I submitted five lists. So, hindi na bago. But I couldn't say I am an expert. So, pinag-aralan ko lahat yan because this is not my first year na nagpasa ako ng RPMS or PMES portfolio. So, it's my third school year. So, pinag-aralan ko na yung mga bawat indicators before pa naman sinubmit yung nung nag-deadline. So, here how it goes. Let me share with you na when I first started in service as a permanent public school teacher, hindi naging madali ang lahat. Nung panahong yun, my co-teachers were so busy preparing for papers and documents na yung tinatawag naming MOVs for the RPMS portfolio during that time. So, since baguhan ako, napakahirap kung wala ka mapagtatanungan. So, everyone is busy preparing for their own. So, mahirap mangulit. So, I was really hesitant to ask, although I got some information, but most of the time sa internet ko nakuha. So, hindi ko masasabing perfect yung mga yung portfolio ko na naibigay, but I did my best. So, mabilis lang akong matuto. Pagka next year, so merong ulit na RPMS portfolio for school year 2023 to 2024. So that time, so bago pa namang nag-deadline, so it was after a school year naman yung hinihingi. So I already prepared what are being asked or what needs to be submitted or prepared in hand. Just like other than the lesson plan or the DLL for those 2 years in service and above, and as well as the COT. So yun ang madalas na pinapasa namin. But other than that, on the later part of the indicators, for non-classroom observable indicators, so kailangan namin ng mga iba't ibang mga documents. So, pinag-aralan ko yung mga indicators, ano yung mga hinihingi because every corresponding MOVs na masasabit namin has corresponding points from 1 to 5. So, ganun yun. So, if you want to get highest score, so make sure na kompleto rin yung MOVs mo. Pagka sumunod na taon na 2024, school year 2024 to 2025, another whole year. So, magkaiba na yung mga indicators pero na-memorya ko na lahat ng mga posibleng hinihingi. So, hindi na yung patanong-tanong pa ako like ng COT and DLL. So, I already prepared that. So, madalas naman yung hinihingi sa amin. So, hindi na yun bago. But other than that, as well as the documentations, attendance, that as teachers spoke or connected with or communicated with the stakeholders. So, these are school, mga partners natin sa school. Sa atin as a teacher, especially kung may advisory class ka, quarterly meetings with the parents, so you need to have a proof. So doon ako nagsimula mag-take pictures for documentation kasi madalas na yung hinihingi na nakapag conduct kami ng quarterly meeting with the parents and of course prepare for your attendance sheet na may attendance ka na kinuha from the parents when you conducted your meeting, the agenda, so dapat makikita yun sa board. So, pinag-aralan ko na yon. Yung test papers na binibigay namin sa mga bata during quarterly exams, binabalik sa mga bata yung answer sheet. So, you need to prepare a sample na signed by the parents na nakita nilang scores ng kanilang mga anak sa exam. As well as mga home visitation forms, kung may binisita ka na estudyante mo, or hindi mo man advisory class but you conducted the home visitation because was a need o nagbigay ka ng coaching or whatever reason the team valid to conduct home visitation. So dapat natipon mo yung mga home visitation form na signed by the parents and you and the student as well. So yung mga ganon. So pinag-aralan ko ng lahat. So nung sinuspende yung RPMS portfolio for school year 2024 to 2025, lahat yun naka-intact na yung mga what I have in my control, like the COT, the copy of the lesson plan, what I have in me, nilalagay ko yun sa clear folder. So by the time na hiningi, mas ano na lang, nang magaan na compile kasi naka-intact siya sa isang one clear folder. So yun na ginagawa ko para hindi na ako mahirapan maghanap ng mga MOVs ko. Although may mga nadagdag na indicators, so iba na siya. So now, I will be sharing with you how I nailed my presentation for Teacher 3 NCOI folders. So, hindi ko naman masasabing madali, but luckily, I got almost perfect for that. And for the indicator, I have already shared in my previous post about 1.22 PPST 4.3.2. So now, ang i-share ko sa inyo na nanonood, if you're watching. So, if ever you can learn something about this one or this video, and that's great enough. So, I'm hoping na kapulutan nyo ng idea or information because again, it was not easy when I first started in service. So, hindi madaling, wala kang masyadong mapagtatanungan na magpapaliwanag sa iyo ng lahat-lahat. So, kailangan mo tulungan ang sarili mo. That's why I decided to create a vlog. So, whatever I'm learning in service, nilagay ko sa vlog and share ko katulad nito sa platform nito that other teachers might be able to benefit or learn from this one. So, how I nailed my portfolio, let's start with the PPST 4.3.2, which adopt and implement learning programs that ensure relevance and responsiveness to all learners. Dito na medyo natagalan kami dito kasi maraming mga MOVs na present ko in this PPST 4.3.2. But I will explain that in detail later on. And PPST 5.2.2, which is to monitor and evaluate learner progress and achievement using learner attainment data. Mamaya i-share ko sa iyo kung ano yung bagong in-present ko other than the electronic class records. And PPST 5.5.2, this is the last or the fifth one sa NCOI indicator, which is to utilize assessment data to inform the modification of teaching and learning practices and programs. Okay, so lahat ng itong tatlong to ay konektado. So when we say 4.3.2, to adopt and implement learning programs that ensure responsiveness or relevance and responsiveness to all learners. So this one, as I have shared in my previous post, na this should be useful or intended para sa group of learners, whether it's your advisory class or for other group, na alam mo makakatulong sa kanila. So, na-share ko yon sa previous post ko. This one, it gives me an idea of conducting innovation. Ano ba yung pwede ko i-contribute that can help my learners than the usual, teaching them with what's on the lesson, what's on the printed learning materials, ano yung bago na pwede kong maitulong sa kanila to address some learning gaps na nakikita ko or na-observe ko sa kanila, which first, I will explain that later. When we say innovation and monitoring learners' progress, it's not always about inventing something new. So I would like to emphasize what you're going to invent. It should be meaningful and can be connected to reality, or sometimes it's about using the tools that we already have. When we say we already have, we must utilize as well. We can create something new or we can innovate using the same tools that we already have, but using them creatively and consistently. So kapag sinabi mong consistently, as much as possible, if you can conduct your innovation all year round, that means it will cover the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, up to the fourth quarter. Okay, so what I did here, I just design or I showcase how I design my learning programs that are really needed for that particular group and how it helped them when it comes to their academic performance. So, katulad ng na-share ko nung nakaraan sa post ko, I have shared 3 innovations, not to brag, but just to share it with you because these are just simple things that you can do as well. So, hindi lang ako ang nakakagawa nito. So, when I first discovered that my students got low marks or low scores in my test, ang una kong naisip, possibly hindi nila naiintindihan ang lesson. Pero hindi naman in-check yung lesson eh. So, I'm very energetic when I'm conducting class. So, posible rin na hindi nila naiintindihan yung language sa test. Pero I was a member of the group for creating the assessment or the test paper. So, parang hindi doon. So, I'm not convinced that it's through the words that I use. Pero, pwedeng posible na may problem tayo dun sa questionnaires when it comes to the text itself. Kung ang bata, since ang medium of instruction naman ay English, kung ang bata ay hindi masyadong well-versed sa English. So, I started there. I saw an online free English proficiency test, which mimics how the English proficiency test question like. It has 4 different types. It will test your reading skills, your speaking skills, which you will be needing a headset, your comprehension, even your writing or that requires typing skill test. But it has a duration of 50 minutes, 90 minutes, so depending on what you would like to choose. You only need just your name, complete name for the students or the test taker. I will show it here in my screen. So just your name and a valid email address. Valid email address because whatever your English proficiency level is, whether it's A1, A2, B1, B2, C1 or C2, it will be revealed on your personalized or in your certificate. So that certificate will be sent to you via the email address that you will be entering into the system. Okay? All right, so moving on. So this one, it really took us a long time because umabot kami ng isang 20 days because the classes just ended or 15 days before the end of May. Wala na masyadong klase tapos na yung final exam. So the students kept on coming back for the signing of their clearances. Yung in-require ko sa kanila ay kumuha ng English proficiency test using the link I gave them. So yung ginawa ko, it needs to be supervised. I know they can access it via their cell phone. So what I did is I brought myself my laptop and a headphone, a wireless headphone, and let each one of them sat on my table and I supervise how they can answer the questions like the test instruction, they need guidance, ano bang kailangan nila. Meron kasing mga paragraph that they need to read and there's a timer on top of it that they need to be aware na dapat yung pag-answer nila is hindi masyadong slow, hindi masyadong mabilis. I wanted to test their English proficiency level as maybe hindi sila ganun kagaling sa English. So we need to konting exercise, kumbaga, when it comes to grammar, understanding an English phrase or sentences. So kailangan namin yun. So it took us more than 2 weeks para maubos yung isang buong section ko advisory class. Although hindi lahat sila nakakuha ng reading and comprehension. Reading and comprehension skills. Yung pinili namin na test is only the 15-minute test. So I can accommodate like 3 or 4 a day during their free time. Kung kailan sila nag-drop by sa room ko. So I got more than 30 plus of them got their tests and talagang sinupervise ko individually. So ganon kahaba ng panahon na binigay ko. Because I need to know their English level by the next opening of the school year, alam ko na kung paano ko i-adjust yung teaching material ko, yung teaching styles ko, at yung test papers ko. Kumbaga, hindi naman pang grade 1 yung language. Pero kailangan matuto sila. Kailangan nilang turuan yung sarili nila. So other than the EF reading test skills, yung pangalawa is using my favorite, most loved platform when it comes to gamifying my instruction via Kahoot. So I'm gamifying my assessments. So every time na natapos naman yung lessons for 3 to 4 days, yung isa, dalawang modules or lesson. At the fourth day, nagkakanda kami ng parang summary or recall of all the lessons that we have learned, the topics that we have learned for that particular week in a form of games so they can easily remember, and it's more meaningful and alive yung classroom. So, ganun tayo kapag teacher ka. Kung masigla yung klase mo, it also adds energy to you as a teacher. Mas lalo ka nagaganahan magturo kung nakikita mo masigla yung mga students mo. So, went through, it was successful since the start of conducting my classes when I got into this school since 2023. It's been an effective booster when it comes to engagement and performance ng mga bata, yung Kahoot. So, luckily. And yung isang innovation ko is when I created a brochure for AI-powered tools for teachers, which I then shared with my colleagues so we could be more productive and we can have time to study or focus on our teaching, although not just a lot of time nagagawa namin yun, but still it can help. And we can tailor our instruction depending on the type of learners that we have without spending too much time on just one particular instruction. Wherein I shared with them Canva for Education, ChatGPT, and Simplified, depending on the type of content that they would like to create. And another one is via my subject, Contemporary Philippine Arts from the Regions. So pinabida namin yung contextualized teaching, although we have the guide, we have the modules, but just to make sure na naa-apply nila yung learnings nila sa art sa aming lokal, or they can relate it to the community, whatever the materials. For instance, I design an activity for them to create an artwork made from local materials available only here in our town. So, nagpanghagilap sila ng mga materials na pwede nila magamit, like indigenous materials, those that they do not need to spend much just for creating an output or an artwork, as well as making an indigenous parol na na-display namin pagdating ng Christmas party or Christmas season during December. So, I have packed all the photos, documentations ng mga activities namin na ipinasok ko doon sa PPST 4.3.2. And that was successful. Another one is the PPST 5.2.2, which is, it calls for, so another one is PPST 5.2.2, which is to monitor and evaluate learner progress and achievement using learner attainment data. So the question here is, how do you monitor your students' progress? How do you keep track of their performances? So, syempre, ang usual na ginagamit ni teacher, so that is yung electronic class records, right? We encode their scores after checking their activity sheets, their test papers, their stations projects. So, in-encode natin sa electronic class records ito. Pero ako, hindi lang ito ang ginagamit ko. I am also using Google Classroom. So, before, nag-asila sino yung gumagamit ng Google Classroom and how often. So, I click on the frequency always, and they were surprised kasi sino yung nag-click ng always. Well, when I say always, from the start of the school year, I've been using Google Classroom, although we are conducting face-to-face classes. But the reason why, may mga students na most of the time absent. We don't always get a perfect attendance, even on my subject, kahit gaano pa ako kasigla magturo. So what I'm doing is I am uploading the lesson, part of the lesson, important details of the lesson every weekend in our Google Classroom, just like this one. What is our lesson 1, lesson 2, and so on, that they can check as long as they have registered sa aming Google Classroom, which I then instructed them at the beginning of the first day of classes that they must sign in with our Google Classroom so they can look back with the lesson kung makakalimutan sila, or before taking the test, they have the copy of the lesson. And as well as it's been very helpful when it comes to giving them performance tasks that requires them to print materials or to print a slide, to print a project. So instead of asking them to spend money for printing of their outputs, they can just send me a soft copy via Google Classroom. Then, ilalagay ko yung rubrics. And this one is very helpful because they can see, they will be notified every time I rate their projects or the performance tasks or activities or any type of assignment that I upload here in our Google Classroom. They will be notified as long as they have used a valid Gmail address or email address, how much they got, what's their score, and I'm also leaving a comment or feedback on their output so they can keep track of what needs to be improved. By the way, that comment is also private, so only the learner that you commented as a teacher, sila lang yung makakita or makaka-view ng kanilang scores and ng kanilang ng personalized feedback ko sa kanilang project. If there is something or areas that they need to improve on, nakikita nila yon sa feedback ko. At kung may rubrics ko, nakikita nila kung saan sila bumaba. And of course, kung maganda yung output nila, impressive, nilalagay ko rin yung feedback ko para sa kanilang output. Na sila lang mismo ang makaka-view. And kung nakasync yung Gmail nila sa kanilang cellphone, and they have data at that time, so they will be notified as well. So that means students can keep track of their progress. And another one which I have been sharing in the past is etong paborito kong gradebook app, the teacher gradebook app. I'm paying for this one 200 pesos for 3 months, every 3 months or every quarter. It's not that much. And have a handy class record app via my cell phone. So every time I'm checking attendances of my students, I can just have this. And I can encode here whatever activities, outputs that I would like to encode here in my teacher gradebook app. Then if the students texted me or asked or sent me a message how much they score, if I'm free, I can also reply back how much they score or what's their score for this one or a particular quiz. So mas madali ko monitor. So pagdating nito ng monitor and evaluate learner progress achievement using learner attainment data, I was able to provide a means of my MLVs that covers all year round. That means I have the records for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and it's always updated. Okay, so I hope you can also learn how to use it if you don't mind paying for 200 pesos per quarter or 500 for the whole year. 500 plus. I think nag-increase na siya. But that's the whole year. It's much cheaper than to subscribe for every quarter. Okay, yung isa naman is ang PPST 5.5.2. Alright, so again, moving on to PPST 5.5.2, which is to utilize assessment data to inform the modification of teaching and learning practices and programs. So let me share with you how I turned my students' low scores into learning wins. So this is my PPST 5.5.2 story. Okay, so when it comes to this indicator, one of the MOBs that I've submitted, one is the test item analysis for my grade 11 students in empowerment technology for second quarter. Second quarterly examinations wherein I also submitted the list or the summary of the least learned competencies. These are part of the lessons na in-integrate ko sa questionnaires, sa test materials during the second periodical exam or second quarterly exam, kung saan analyzing the frequency of their correct responses. So ito yung mga items na na-fall sa topic or lessons namin sa ETEC, wherein most of the students got low scores, especially this one particular group. So I highlighted those least learned competency wherein they got low mastery and very low mastery. And most of the students who got low marks on this part or these questionnaires belongs to, majority of them belongs to one particular section. So when saw the empowerment technology test results for school year 2023-2024, I've noticed that my TBL class were actually lagging behind while the other sections were actually quite progressing. So this particular group, or actually I've noticed they are struggling with the lesson, most especially if there are like technology integration in that particular test, like even the definition of particular apps. What's the purpose of the Google Drive? So we that's part of the introductory lessons that we had. So I thought they already mastered that one. So like, what's the tool or app that we can use to save files, something like that. And our lesson in this particular part was all about the Web 3.0, 2.0, and as well as the user experience. And one of the learning goals is to prepare ICT outputs, which of course, if they are struggling even with the terminologies when it comes to technologies, they can identify ICT apps, ICT tools, but they don't know how to use it, or they cannot connect it with the real world applications of it, most especially the advanced application or features of those particular apps or tools. So I decided to come up with, why not, instead of traditional remediation thing, I decided to come up with a performance task, or I call it as my ETech quest game. So here it is. We're in the first task for my ETech quest was all about word formatting adventures. So in this part, students need to create a document using Microsoft Word, like experiment with explore how to change the text size, font styles, text alignments, paragraph indentation, the margins. So those are common features that we normally use every time we create documents using Microsoft Word. But since they don't have Microsoft Word on their cell phone, although there is an app for that, uh, what I suggested with them is to use Google Docs, because most of them got Android phones, and Android phones are powered with Google products or apps, and one of those products is Google Docs. So they can create and type documents on that mobile screen, and it's easy. Just for them to create an Word document, so similar to that. But in the classroom, I walk them through. I brought my two of my laptops so they can have a hands-on experience on how to recognize Microsoft Word. And I gave them a paragraph or a letter to type, and change the text style or the font size, transfer it from left line, centered, and as well as right align and justify, so they can experiment even as well the margins, the columns. So those are common features that we normally use upon creating documents using Microsoft Word. So I guided two students at a time to walk through and navigate in my laptop. So I brought two of my laptops, personal laptops. One is Windows laptop, the other one is MacBook. So may due tayo kaming challenges na na-encounter during that time, but I will tell you that later on. The second quest is about the art of collaboration, while the rest of the students can independently work along with their classmates. So yun nga, yung particular section na sinabi ko, one of the other group, the TEFL class, were really struggling and they don't have the capacity or not enough knowledge to do it on their own. That's why we have to do it actual in the classroom during the recess time or extra time, but we cannot stay on that hands-on navigation all throughout. So, dalawang students until natapos namin yung lesson. So, quest 2, the art of collaboration, is they need to look for a pair. So if they were able to create a document during the quest 1, during the word formatting adventure, they should have at least one document, whether a textual document, whether it's a paragraph, a part of the story, an excerpt from the story or article, as long as one should be the creator, and he or she must share the link with her or his partner to add comments on the particular document, and they need to take a screenshot of that so I would know that somebody edited the document. So I already guided them how to do so, every step, step by step. And then they sent me a screenshot via Google Classroom, so they don't need to print it out. They just need to upload, and they know how to upload, of course. I walked them through. They already know that those basic thing or functionalities of uploading tasks, opening the Google Classwork, answering, leaving a comment, viewing their scores, anything that is essential for accessing their activities and uploading their submissions via Google Classroom through classwork particular page. Okay, so on quest 3, which is now the heart of the lesson, mail merge mission. So in this particular part, they will need to work as a group. They need to create an invitation letter, which I provided them previously, a scenario which they can do as a group to collaborate among their classmates or members of their team what they're going to do to resolve a particular situation that requires solution. Just like in one of the given scenario, in uh, her sister or his sister is would be having her 18th birthday party, and you are assigned to create an invitation letter to be sent to 20 guests for that particular event. How would you do it efficiently without going through every letter, retype it for the next person, and so on? So that would take a long time. So what's the best or efficient way to do so? So when they had the role play, some of them suggested that they will be using Canva, which is actually perfect. They can create cover, the nice cover, the nice, beautiful features, perfect font, different font styles that they can choose from to mimic how they want their invitation to look like. And they were able to send me the screenshot or the file itself in JPEG format via Google Classroom as well. But they haven't touched the main topic required, or the main objective, which is to perform mail merge. But the good thing is during the time we have a ETHEC module for that na naka-laid out ang lahat ng mga steps on how to perform mail merge, and every step merong picture ng screen ng Microsoft Word, so they would know what to click next, where to go next. But then I have to guide them to be there. So that's why in this video that you're seeing right now, I was actually guiding every student one by one, because two of them can only navigate with my laptop, two at a time, and once they're done, the next batch or the next pair can go. And merong challenges dito. It's because when they were performing mail merge, they also need to master MS Excel, because they need to put placeholders. These placeholders stands for the name. They have to change the name and put the name of the person from the contact list from the MS Excel file, which I gave them the dummy of 10 celebrities' names with dummy phone numbers and addresses, wherein an email address, wherein they will be needing to send the invitation letter to. So we replaced that as a placeholder. Their name, the rest of the content of the invitation letter is as is or the same. So, pinalitan yung pangalan, address, phone number, and email address because it will be sent to a different person. But the rest of the content is exactly the same because it's exactly the same venue, same title of the event, same date and time. Okay, so they were able to perform that one, and it went through fine. So dito, I gave them, while they were performing MS Excel, I gave them the list of the grocery items that they can purchase from a particular store, and I asked them to create an inventory. So I gave them a list of items to encode in MS Excel. So I was there watching. And ang challenge namin dito is, other than for performing mail merge, although it went through, as nakalimutan ko, yung functionalities ng keys for the Windows laptop is different than MacBook. So I have to be there to teach them which button to click or which keys to press on my MacBook. So it's somehow different, and the layout for the ribbon or options for the MS Word is also different than the Windows laptops. So, iba-iba silang dalawa. But they were actually fast learner. And up until, how did I say that it went through and it was successful? Because yung learning objective namin na gumawa ng ICT output, that is via creating a blog using WordPress app. So they were able to do so. I walked them through how to download from Google Play Store the WordPress app. So pagka-download ng WordPress app, some of them connected to my cell phone para sa internet. So pag-download ng WordPress app, nag-pop up yung option or a request to need to download the Jetpack app as well. So those two need to go in pairs para makapag-post sila sa kanilang page. So WordPress app is a free website builder that you don't need to pay. There's a free version that you can do your first post or upload your blogs, add some image on it, video links, etc. But there's a limit for storage. But they don't need to consume huge storage for that particular blog post because I only need them to require one post or short post using WordPress app. So once they did, they were able to experiment with the different themes that are available for free via WordPress app na pwede lang ma-download sa cell phone. I let them choose any topic they like, put a title, and upload post, and copy the link and share it with me so I would know na nakapag-submit sila ng kanilang outputs. So this is also the same way I explained to my interviewer during the portfolio defense of my NCOI or NCOI portfolio, while explaining to them how I achieved PPST 5.5.2. So show them what's my action plan content is all about, and as well as the remediation that I conducted and the results. Okay, so this is it. I hope you have learned something by the next time around that you will get to encounter this PPST 4.3.2, PPST 5.2.2, and PPST 5.5.2. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.